Welcome to the Week 2 mini lecture in 7512 NCS Aviation Leadership and Communication. The previous mini lecture we looked at what a leader was and what they did and how they go about achieving their objectives for the organisation. This one we're going to find out exactly how leaders communicate. One of the most important parts of being a good leader is being able to communicate. And we're going to talk about speaking and writing for success. What we're going to be doing in this is talking about the purpose, forms and process of communication so we can understand how to be effective communicators. We're going to be talking about written and oral communication because that's something that you either do now or you'll be doing as a leader in the future. We're going to be explaining the concepts of completed staff work in an organisation and how that depends on good problem-solving skills. We're going to talk about effective written communication with emphasis on the report format because that's what we'll be using in the assignments on this course. We'll talk about the oral message sending process because generally when you do a report you have to be able to present it in an organisation as well. We'll talk about the key techniques to improve your oral communication that you can apply in a job today. This comes from Lucio Nachua, part of Chapter 6, and the rest comes from a series of other references. Let's look at it. One of the sayings that I've got, and this is something I stress to all the students I take in Griffith University, is that whenever you communicate, be it in speaking or writing, you are marketing yourself. When you consider it, you're in competition against a whole range of other people to get the things that you want in life. And whenever you speak or write, people are forming impressions about you straight away. Your bosses, your followers, a whole range of people. So that's why this lecture is going to be so important to you. If we look at the importance of oral and written communication, well, first of all, it's a way in which we go about doing our jobs in everyday life. And the thing is, the better you are at it, the more successful you'll be in life. You can, first of all, it's part of gaining and progressing in employment. You have to get the job, you have to sell yourself at an interview. You've got a window of opportunity and you've got to really work to impress people. But once you're in the job, you want to go up in the ladder in the organisation. So again, you're having to impress people along the way. You've got to inform your superiors of work progress. They'll judge you in your annual report for it. You have to tell subordinates what they've got to do and how they're going to do it sometimes. And again, they communicate that. You've got to sell off proposals. It can be new work for a client. It can be an improvement in the organisation. And of course, you use it in networking with your peers. And if we look at the words by Nitin Nohria from Harvard Business School, he states, communication is the real work of leadership. That is, as a leader, if you can't communicate, you're really holding yourself back. Let's take a look at that communication leadership. We've got a simple diagram here, and it's simple. We have a sender and a receiver, and we have a feedback loop, generally to make sure that the message has been understood. We've got our message that we want to send across, and we've got to pick the best channel to get it through. So true communication occurs only when the parties understand the message with the same interpretation. How many times have you been asked to do something by someone and you've done it, and when they get back to you they say, no, that's not what I asked for. There's been a breakdown in communication. So there's got to be a positive relationship between communication competency and leadership performance. And the big thing is we're going to talk about how to send and receive messages. Let's take a look at a process. And this is a pretty simple one. This is the action model. This is the one you've probably seen in some lectures. You've got a source and you've got a receiver. At the end of the lecture, you can walk out and you've understood nothing. And the lecturer's got no way of knowing because there's no feedback model. So generally, we try to get an interaction model going in. But the thing is, all you're doing is you're putting out questions and you're getting feedback. But what happens if you're talking about something and people don't understand after the first 5 minutes what you're talking about? You've got to have a way of them being able to ask you questions. And so we have the transactional model. And we'll study those three models and find out why the transactional model is so effective towards leadership performance. Communication depends on good planning. Failing to plan is planning to fail. So the questions we ask ourselves about a communication is, what are we going to do? Who are we going to do it to? How are we going to do it? When and where? And so we'll be talking about what to communicate. What are the sorts of things that we come up against in communication? We'll be talking about who you're talking to, people within your organisation, people outside the organisation. We'll go into all the things you need to know about how am I going to communicate? Am I going to just send emails out? People often wonder, why am I not succeeding? I've sent the email out, no one's done anything. Well, perhaps that wasn't the right medium. We'll be saying when. We know, for example, if you work on a project, you do communication daily. And of course, the last one is, where will you communicate? Do you do it in a formal lecture theatre? Do you do it out in the field when you're talking to a client? All of these are part of your planning. We spoke about completed staff work. That is, as a leader, you're going to work for someone. They're going to give you jobs to do. And very often, you're going to have to solve problems. And what we'll do is teach you a simple problem-solving tool, the 6-step model. And basically, what we're going to be talking about is, first of all, what's the actual problem? Very often, people look at symptoms and not the problem itself. We're going to be gathering all the data we can, researching, and that's what you do in your assignments. You'll learn how to go out there and get the data and how you're going to use it. You're going to then clarify the problem. And again, on this course, very often people don't do well because they don't read the question. They haven't seen what the problem is. We're going to generate possible solutions because every problem has got a number of solutions. But which one is best? That's what you've got to find out. And so it's selecting the best option. And we'll show you how to go about that. And then it's implementing and monitoring a choice. That is, you can implement it, but you've got to watch how it goes the whole way. So the 6-step model is a powerful tool if you're not using that already. Written communication and writing tips. We'll be going through how you can be better, organising the information, how to write to communicate and not just to impress. How many times have you read a report where, in fact, that's got a lot of fancy words in it, but you're saying, what are they trying to say? We're going to teach you the importance about writing a first draft. Very often people say first draft is final draft. And we're going to be showing as to how you can turn first draft from just being a collection of thoughts without perhaps best coherence into something that really works. And rewriting and improving the draft and editing and proofreading. You'll be applying that in your assignment. So we'll be talking about all of these, what you can do, and every assignment that you do, you'll be practicing these and you'll become a far better writer at the end of the course and therefore guaranteed a much better success in the future. But writing's not enough. Often you've got to go back up writing with presentations. We'll be talking about speaking. And we'll talk about the oral message sending process, building rapport with people, stating your purpose, getting your message across in the most interesting and informative way, checking the receiver's understanding and getting a commitment from them as a follow-up to make sure that the communication has been important. Because if you can write well, you still need to be able to present it well, often through the spoken message. We'll be talking about how to organise presentations, just like written communication. An introduction. What do you need in the introduction? How's the body going to be broken down? How important is the conclusion? A lot of people think the conclusion is just something that we can write that's just a few very waffly words, but we'll be showing you how to write a conclusion that meets that aim that you've set and how to allocate the timing. And this will help you with your assignments, and you'll find assignments far less stressful from this lecture. Projecting a positive image. Everyone's nervous when they're talking to a group of people. I've spoken to people in the armed services who say that they would rather face a life and death mission than get up and talk to people. So we'll talk about how to overcome anxiety, how to avoid distractions, using your voice best, controlling your body language. Body language tells people a lot about you and how you work and think. Getting the right environment, making sure we prepare. Preparation, planning are essential for oral communication as they are for written communication. So, as a summary, this lecture is going to give you a lot of skills that are not just going to help you in this course, but they're going to help you in your work in the future, because everything has to be accomplished through writing and through giving presentations. We're going to show you how to organise that into a logical sequence. We're going to show you how to address problems and solve them better as part of working for your bosses in the future. We're going to be talking about making sure that whenever you get up in front and communicate, you are going to market yourself in the best way possible, and we'll show you the techniques to get the best out of yourself. Being a good leader is about good communication, and communication, either when we speak or when we write, is going to be a big part of your success in the future.